I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. Continuing in the Doctrine and Covenants, we are now starting on our journey out to Missouri. Our last several sections have been in Kirtland, Ohio, dealing with church polity, the law of God, how to conduct disciplinary councils, how to conduct meetings, also some issues of doctrine and practice. Some spiritualism that had been creeping in among the members has been put aside and dealt with. We had the controversy with the Thompson branch when the saints from Colesville, New York moved out under the expectation of living the law of consecration, and that fell through. All of that going on now. On the 9th of June, we head out to Missouri. All these men who are called head out to Missouri. Now, I don't think they all leave on the 9th. Joseph Smith and his party leave on the 9th. But they've all left probably before the end of June. And likely, I would say, within a week or two of Joseph Smith leaving. So it's here in this time that everybody is leaving and going to Missouri. This journey takes a little while, which brings us to section 57. And the heading here simply states, Revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet in Zion, Jackson County, Missouri, July 20th, 1831. Recorded in History of the Church, Volume 1, pages 189 to 190. In compliance with the Lord's command, the elders had journeyed from Kirtland to Missouri with many varied experiences and some opposition. In contemplating the state of the Lamanites and the lack of civilization, refinement, and religion among the people generally, the prophet exclaimed in yearning prayer, When will the wilderness blossom as a rose? When will Zion be built up in her glory? And where will thy temple stand, unto which all nations shall come in the last days? Subsequently, he received this revelation. Now remember, Oliver Cowdery, Peter Whitmer Jr., and Ziba Peterson have been in Missouri since December of 1830. So they've been here about 6 months. So they have this reunion with these three brothers. They start looking around, as he says, the people here, not just the Lamanites. Lamanites were not civilized, really. But most of the frontier people were not civilized either. At this time, they're in, I believe, Independence, Missouri. And at this time, this is the frontier. I mean, this is more or less a kind of hunting camp more than anything else. It's not really even a town yet. So they are lamenting the state of the people here. But how many of the rest of the men that have been sent to Missouri that have arrived? This is July 20th, so we're talking about 40 days since Joseph Smith left Kirtland that he arrives here. How many other men have arrived yet? I don't know. Now, Joseph Smith and his party did do preaching along the way. One thing of note is that they did stop in Cincinnati and speak to a Walter Scott, who was one of the founders of the Campbellite movement. Remember, Sidney Rigdon, Parley P. Pratt, and Edward Partridge, I believe, were all members of the Campbellite group. I can't remember if Newell Whitney and Sidney Gilbert were, but Sidney Rigdon was a minister of the Campbellite group. They weren't the founders. They were just part of this movement. Walter Scott is one of the founders. They go there. It's not a good interview, and he comes off as being very bitter against even the New Testament doctrines. So they leave, and they just continue on. They go to Missouri. So they had this travel. They had their journey. They're here now in Missouri, seeing the state of the people, and they cry out, as it says here, this is what is written in the history of the church, and we get this revelation. So now let us read section 57. Hearken, O ye elders of my church, saith the Lord your God, who have assembled yourselves together according to my commandments in this land, which is the land of Missouri, which is the land which I have appointed and consecrated for the gathering of the saints. Wherefore, this is the land of promise, and the place for the city of Zion. And thus saith the Lord your God, if you will receive wisdom, here is wisdom. Behold, the place which is now called Independence is the center place, and a spot for the temple is lying westward upon a lot which is not far from the courthouse. Wherefore it is wisdom that the land should be purchased by the saints, and also every tract lying westward, even unto the line running directly between Jew and Gentile. And also every tract bordering by the prairies, inasmuch as my disciples are enabled to buy lands. Behold, this is wisdom, that they may obtain it for an everlasting inheritance. And let my servant Sidney Gilbert stand in the office to which I have appointed him, to receive monies, to be an agent unto the church, to buy land in all the regions round about, inasmuch as can be done in righteousness and as wisdom shall direct. And let my servant Edward Partridge stand in the office to which I have appointed him, and divide unto the saints their inheritance, even as I have commanded, and also those whom he has appointed to assist him. And again, verily I say unto you, let my servant Sidney Gilbert plant himself in this place, and establish a store, that he may sell goods without fraud, that he may obtain money to buy lands for the good of the saints, and that he may obtain whatsoever things the disciples may need to plant them in their inheritance. And also let my servant Sidney Gilbert obtain a license. Behold, here is wisdom, and whoso readeth, let him understand, that he may send goods also unto the people, even by whom he will, as clerks employed in his service, and thus provide for my saints, that my gospel may be preached unto those who sit in darkness, and in the region and shadow of death. And again, verily I say unto you, let my servant William W. Phelps be planted in this place, and be established as a printer unto the church. And lo, if the world receive his writings, behold, here is wisdom. Let him obtain whatsoever he can obtain in righteousness for the good of the saints. And let my servant Oliver Cowdery assist him, even as I have commanded, in whatsoever place I shall appoint unto him, to copy and to correct and select, that all things may be right before me, as it shall be proved by the Spirit through him. And thus let those of whom I have spoken be planted in the land of Zion as speedily as can be, with their families, to do those things even as I have spoken. And now concerning the gathering, let the bishop and the agent make preparations for those families which have been commanded to come to this land, as soon as possible, and plant them in their inheritance. And unto the residue of both elders and members further directions shall be given hereafter. Even so, amen. Say hi.
Yeah.
Say no. Say yes. Say wah 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 wah. Say ooh boo 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 boo. Hey, hey, show him numbskull. Yeah, there's numbskull. Now do honk. Do honk. Do schizophrenic. Do chicken pot pie. Do blubberoni. Do Pillsbury. Okay, now hop down. So this section is primarily just some directions on how to go about establishing themselves in Missouri. This is now going to be the main gathering place for the saints. The center place is Independence, and we've already got the spot picked out for the temple. And they're supposed to be buying all the land west of here. Not in the east, but in the west. I find that interesting. But then we have these 3 appointments, actually 4 appointments. Sidney Gilbert is to open a store and be an agent for the bishop in procuring money, lands, and goods for the building up of the saints, moving them out to Missouri. Edward Partridge is to be the bishop and fulfill his duties as bishop. William W. Phelps, he is to be a printer, as he has been most of his life, but this time printing for the church. He is to set up a printing office, and Oliver Cowdery is to assist him as he can. I don't think there's much in the way of doctrine being stated here. This is just showing us how the gathering in Missouri is to begin. So I'm going to leave that here, and we will pick this up in section 58 next, so I will see you there.